I've learned and I've developed those healthy boundaries for me. Because I've had to say that to a few friends in the past, like, hey, this friendship is not working out. And I just think that it's best that we just part ways.
When you have the growth mindset and you know that your path is where it is, and it is a tough path, but it's your path, some people are not going to be on it with you all the time because their path is different. And even on that side of it, it is hard to let go of friends.
Well, hello, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to episode 14 of Therapists Unhinged. And today we're back with just the three of us. We've had a lot of guests on the show and we'll keep having them. But today we're going to be talking about something that I think everyone can relate to, which is friendships and boundaries.
Ooh.
Yes.
Right.
It's a big deal.
That is a big deal.
Because, hey, we're social beings. So we all, have friends, we interact with people. And then I know one big thing that a lot of people have a problem with is boundaries with those friendships. Mm-hmm. So, TJ, what do you have to say about, I want to start with you.
I already knew that. Like, why did I know that?
TJ was like, I was ready.
What's the big thing that you see, your clients go through, when it comes to friendships and creating boundaries or issues that arise?
Well, actually, hold on. Can we just start with, do a foundation of what does even a healthy friendship look like, I guess? Maybe start there, or should we not?
And that's all subjective, really.
True.
So, subjectively speaking, I would say a friendship means someone who is, going to be there for you when you need them. You enjoy being around them. You can pick up the phone and they're dependable, loyal. Those are some traits that I see in friendship. What about you? Anything you want to add to that?
Well, and that's what I was going to say. But also, I think one thing is that it's a give and a take.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a give and a take. And that's what I was going to say. Because I was thinking sometimes let's make sure we set that foundation, even though it is different, because I think a lot of times just even with that, people's definitions.
Right. And mutual respect, of course,
Right.
Something that I share with my clients, especially those who struggle with, setting boundaries in friendships is, look, it's a give and take. It doesn't look the same though, right? Because I'm a big girl on seasons. So I go, this may be your season to give, and it may be the other person's season to just receive. So there's a pouring and the pouring into, but then there's also a pouring out. And sometimes those friendships may not look balanced to, others, but it is in certain ways, because this season I may need something from you, right? Because I'm going through so much and you're there for me. So it's mutual. And then there may be a season when you're going through something and that, you need something from me or I need something from you. So it's definitely built on mutual respect. Setting healthy boundaries look like, giving me space, and also having space for yourself, and just knowing when to not necessarily draw the line, but just knowing how far to go. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Learning that person. It's a relationship. It's a relationship that you learn that person, learn their no's, their yeses, their gives, their takes, and vice versa. So that's where that mutual, respect comes from.
I like that. That's very true. The mutual respect is, I think, key, and for me in my age, 41.
She's a baby. You little embryo, you little baby.
So in my, experience, of course, we look at friendships differently at different stages of our life. Of course. That's a huge thing. So, when you're in elementary school, children look at it as, their playmate, someone fun to be around and things like that. And then as you get into adolescence, there's more of that loyalty expectation, I think, that they have on their friends, and mutual respect. And then I think when you get into adulthood, things start to really shift, especially I would say and for me and from what I see with clients is this shift of, okay, people are going in different directions maybe in their life. Are you going to come along with me and go along with me on my journey, even though my journey may not look the same as yours? And, are you going to, be there when I need you? We may not be able to talk all the time, but, or see each other, but I know that I can depend on you if I need you.
Absolutely.
And I've learned, friendships, kind of like what you said with certain seasons. I think people too are certain circumstances, they're friends. So you may have a friend that you like to travel with. They're really fun to travel with, but you know what? On every day, you don't want to invite them over your house every day.
Right.
Or there may be that friendship that, you can call up and go have a dinner with, but maybe that friend won't be like as much fun as say like spontaneous. Like, hey, do you want to go to New York this weekend? That may not be the friend for you. So I think I've learned to differentiate the friends for different things too.
I'm smiling because you're reminding me of so much. Like you have friends that are acquaintances, you have friends that are associates, you have close friends, and and like you said, you have friends that you will share like your intimate stuff with, but then you have another friend who you may just be all fun and games with. But I call the most intimate friends the ones that they're going to be there for you. You're going to be there for them. I call them backdoor friends. Now, backdoor friends are the ones that if you take a house, right, and you enter from the back door, people can't really see you coming because you're coming from the back door. So a backdoor friend is that friend that comes in from the back. She doesn't care how messy your house is. She doesn't care if, the kids are like, disheveled. She doesn't care if she's fighting with the husband or not. She just comes in. And she doesn't judge, and she just sits there and she just wait until you're done. And then she's like, okay, how can I help you? Mm-hmm. So those backdoor friends are those ones where, yes, you have already developed most of those boundaries that you need. Those are the ones that you have carried through with you through the roughest of times. Maybe you've experienced a divorce and they've been there. Maybe they have and you've been there. But those are those friends where it's like through thick and thin, it doesn't matter. We may have disagreements, but at the end of the day, we still love each other. And that's what I like. I like friends where I can just really be honest and go, you know what, girl? You really need to get it together because you're like, hey, and I see you falling apart. And if I can't share that with a friend that I call a backdoor friend or a friend that I call a personal friend, then are we really friends? And vice versa. Tell me when I'm like, I'm unhinged. Mm-hmm. Tell me, hey, girl, you need to dial it back a little bit. And I'll receive that because I know what kind of friend you are and what kind of friend you've always been.
I like that.
I mean, the backdoor, that is so cool because I've never heard that. And I love that because, again, it's like, when you come into the front door, you're a guest.
Bingo.
Yeah.
And I was just like I literally am picturing like the house and thinking about TJ, both of y'all know, like if anything happens, I'd be like, I don't care what door it is. I'm coming in. Like I'm coming, and y'all know that. Like I will be there swimming through around the pool door, whatever we need to do, coming through the roof. I'll be Santa Claus, but I do. I thought that was such
I know, I like that. I'm gonna start to think about that.
The back door. I know. I was just like going, where is she going with that? But it is, I always say that, I have a ton of acquaintances and a very, close set of friends. And even with I had like my friends like for a long time, but even with them, there are different things that even we do and have shared together. And also it's like, just right before I got in here, working with one of my young clients, and we were talking about friendships. That's why when you said that, I was like, oh my gosh, we just did that. And, one thing that I know that I have said to a lot of my clients lately is like, do you think it's possible that you have outgrown that relationship? Mm-hmm. And because, again, it's like when you have the growth mindset and you know that your path is where it is, and it is a tough path, but it's your path. Some people are not going to be on it with you all the time because their path is different. And even on that side of it, it is hard to let go of friends that have been there in certain things because there's like, well, I don't want to leave them, but I can't not be me. And so even with that, there's a lot of just even understanding the mutual respect of I love you, but I love me. And you'll always be a part of my life. And if you show up over the road here, then great. But I think there's also that understanding too, boundaries within yourself and who, is going to continue or not continue.
Absolutely. And being okay with it.
Well, and also you said something too, and I know that we talk a lot is that, I'm a big person on, love speaks the truth. And love is not just all about allowing anybody to do whatever they want all the time. That's not, I mean, that's not love. Because to me, it's like when you love somebody and you know that person and you know yourself, like you were talking about, like TJ and I know all three of us, and we backdoor, you gotta be to do what we do, you know, and sometimes sure we get frustrated and, you know, we just go, you know what? That's okay. That's okay. Cause we're in this together. But I love this person, you know, and I know, you know, you guys tell me all the time, oh, okay, Robin, like, you know, or this or that. We go, oh, TJ, you know, I'm just letting you know, are you good? Cause I didn't even realize that was going on, you know, and it's because it's like when you love your people, you don't want them to hurt. You don't want them to go down a path that, now granted, they're still going to take that for whatever they take that. But to me, I'm like, the truth is I see you better than that. I want you better than that. I don't want you hurting. And if like, let's say you're doing something, whatever, to cope or whatever, that's not healthy, you know, and then that's still a boundary. Do I step in? Do I not? You know, even with that, like, how would y'all handle that? If you had one of your backdoor friends and you know, he or she's really going through it, like.
The only thing that comes to mind for me right now, because sometimes there are times where you just want to cut through the chase. You just want to go in head on. It's like, hey, you know. But then there are times where even though it may be a backdoor friend, it just depends on how well that friend receives stuff and how they receive it. So sometimes you can just tell a little story, right? And you can include them in the story without telling them they're in the story to see what their take on it is. And I'm reminded of that. I'm going to go biblical real quick here. There's a story in the Bible where King David was like doing all this crazy stuff. And Nathan, the prophet, came to him and Nathan gave him a story and he said, hey, David, what do you think about this, that, and the third? And he goes, oh, a person that does that should be killed. And he goes, who would do such a thing like that? And Nathan says, well, that man is you. So sometimes you have to like tell a story or, you know, just at least, you know, set the stage for what you want to say, because, you know, it depends on what's going on, what it is that you want to talk to this person, your friend, about, and just take it from there. But then there are those times where it's like, you got to go, hey, look, I just got to cut through the chase there. You know, what's going on? Or I see you here and I know that's not normally you, but right now this is you and we need to try to fix it. Or what can we do to fix it?
Yeah. And that made me think too of like, I had a childhood friend I'd known since I was 12. And, you know, she went on her own path. She got in, you know, I obviously got married, had kids. Well, her path was different. You know, she didn't get married or have kids. She was in relationships, but she never did that. Well, eventually when she was in this unfortunate toxic relationship and I was seeing her through this and I was trying to be there for her, she got sucked in. He was a complete hardcore definition textbook of narcissistic personality. And, you know, with that isolation and all the stuff that she was going through, it got to a point to where it was exhausting for me to continue going down the same things that he was doing and, you know, unfaithful and all the stuff. She ended up moving very far away and her and I still kept in touch, but not as deep. Well, here we are, probably, you know, it's about a year or so after she's finally got out of this relationship and she needed to do all these things to have help and reached out to me. And I jumped on that train and was there to help her because I still cared about her. I just couldn't go along on that journey with her anymore because I couldn't do anything. I had to let her figure it out.
Absolutely.
She figured it out and now she's healing but she is saying constantly like how grateful she is for the friendship that I was one of the only ones that was really there for her. And now that she's healing and got rid of this horrible person in her life, I'm there for her now. We've almost like reconnected our friendship. And so it makes me think like maybe that season is done, but maybe it'll come back around again and leaving that door open. Like it doesn't have to end badly, but if you do have a different journey and a different path, letting that kind of happen, and then you never know what could bring you back together.
I like that because, you know, and Robin said it earlier, if you're trying to help those kind of friends but at the same time you're losing yourself, you got to know how to separate, and that's a boundary, and say,
that's
hey,
my
look,
boundary. Yep.
And you know, we talked about this. I've tried to help as much as I can. And sometimes you do have those friends where they appreciate the help, but they still don't accept the help. Right. And until they're really ready, until they're fully ready. And so I believe that you have to like park that friendship like you did. park that friendship and say, hey, I'm always here for you, but I just can't keep going through the motions with you because I'm losing myself, And so when you do find what it is that you want or, what direction you want to take, I'll be here. And so that's what that sounds like. So parking that friendship and making sure that you keep yourself, you don't lose yourself while they're trying to find themselves.
And I don't know if this has happened to either one of you, but like, I know one thing for me that I've seen, and I've actually spoken to other business owners, that's this happened to too, is like when you go onto a different path, there's going to be people that are either, I feel like, one, going to go on that journey with you, right? They're going to go along with you and they're going to support you and they're going to be one of your biggest cheerleaders, right?
Absolutely.
Then there's going to be the people that will keep speaking to you and be there for you, but it's for their own agenda. Like, ooh, I want to keep her in my back pocket now for when I need her again. And then there's the ones that are going to be the haters, which you would call haters.
Oh, yeah.
That are going to be there like, what is she doing over there? She's doing what
Everything,
over there?
right?
Yeah. She's doing what over there?
Eat some popcorn and what, right?
Yeah. And then those are the ones that are kind of like disappear because for some reason they don't like what you're doing. I don't know. That's
Well, it's
happened.
because they don't like themselves. But remember you just said that? Literally, I have written down here what we just talked about. I said, you got your energy givers and your energy takers.
Yeah.
And that's what I said. As your path goes, I said, here's the one. The givers are there regardless. You don't have to see them every day, and they're celebrating you because that's what makes it. They love you. And again, but it's the takers, and those are the ones, and those are the ones that hurt because it's like, again, when you know that you are doing everything in your power and you love everybody and you're authentic, that's the hard part, And I know that
I've learned it.
Yeah, we all have learned it.
Yes,
we've all been hurt by certain friends because, just a transparent moment. Like I struggled with, in my early adult years, 20s, early 30s, I struggled with friendships, and I'll be honest, I struggled with women friendships because, my hits, it had always been hurt, painful, gossipy people, and different things like that. So, but the older I got, when I started setting my boundaries, and my boundaries also differ when it comes to different friendships, right? Because some people will take advantage of you or they will try. So you have to set a certain kind of boundaries with those people, and then some people they will mentally drain you. And it's like, wait a minute, my social battery is depleted. Like I have maybe 15 minutes to give you on the phone and that's it because I need to start making dinner or I need to really focus on other things. But it took me a while to really like connect with women and create those kind of friendships that I know that I don't have to worry about my business being thrown over the street or them wanting something from me that, they shouldn't,
their agenda.
Right. Like having an agenda. Because I was always like, what do you come
that
for?
Hidden agenda.
What are you coming for? And I'll be honest, through a lot of prayer, and just God revealing to me, okay, this is a friendship. Like you can take, it's okay. So I've learned and I've developed those, those healthy boundaries for me. And when I say, hey, you know what, this isn't working out. Because I've had to say that to a few friends in the past, like, hey, this friendship is not working out. And I just think that it's best that we just part ways. And I've done that. I've
done it too.
Yeah.
You have to. Now, and even though, and I know we talked about relationships a few weeks ago, and I'm telling you right now, I almost feel like I can handle breaking up in a relationship more than I can a friendship, because friendships to me, they're so few and far between, because everybody's got their thing. But like you said, even, this person and, letting them kind of go do their thing, even when you go, just gonna sit back and, and it hurts, and then when they come back but it's almost like, I'm so glad that you were stable and you did everything, because that was almost like the basis that she needed to go, wait a minute, you know what? I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But, TJ, again, thank you for sharing that. And we all know, me coming from athletics and everything else, I always was with the guys. And so even coming here, and I know with Nella, I always talk about, our interview and how funny it was. And I told her, I said, oh my gosh, there's all girls here. Like, I don't know how to do this. Like, I don't know what to do. I wasn't in a sorority. You know what I mean? And I was just like, and even in my head thinking like, I'm not really girly, like I'm literally, before we started this, and I'm like, look at y'all's nails. Oh my God. And I'm looking going, yeah, I've always been coaching, so there's no nails. And I mean, even just learning that and, but I think a lot of it was just that, like TJ said, whatever her situation, but mine was just, I just didn't know. I didn't know how to like be a girl. Like it just didn't make sense to me. I mean, I'm a girl, but I mean like those things just, I don't know. I don't get my hair. I don't know. It's just, so I think I was always just nervous, always nervous around women because there's a lot of things that they talked about that I just didn't do. Like, I was only married a short time. I've been a single mom. Like I just do a lot of things on my own. So it was kind of like, I don't know how to do this, but I will tell you that, being here with all these wonderful women. Oh my gosh. I mean, I know when TJ and I do interviews, like we just tell them how amazing and empowering, that these women are that we get to work with, and even the women that I get to work with as clients, it has been so like, it's actually taught me a lot and how to be a little softer in some areas. Cause I think what you were talking about is the readiness factor, is that sometimes even when we see our friends, sometimes we have to sit back and go, because, are they even ready to hear this?
And I think too, it makes me think of, we talk a lot about expectations that we have on different people. And I think too, the expectations is a big piece of friendships. Absolutely. Like, what is it that you're expecting of them? Are you expecting them to give what you're giving? Are you going to expect, them to be loyal? Are you going to expect them to be there when you need them? Like really, what are the expectations? Because unfortunately, sometimes, and I hear this with clients, and stuff, is like your expectations need to be lower initially until they have proven themselves that they're going to be this loyal or that, consistent. They've showed that consistency throughout your friendship. Right. Because a lot of people, I know for me, that was one of my big things growing up is I always expected people to give what I'm giving into the relationship. And I've learned the hard way, but people don't do that. And that was my fault for automatically putting high expectations on friendships. So I know I tell my clients that too, when they're like going through something or like, let's say they just become a mom and, they're the only ones with kids now and how, the expectations of her friends inviting her and, things like that. I hear a lot and it's like, okay, well, what are the expectations that you have set for this friendship now that you've transitioned to a different role in that, in your life or so? That is a very big piece because you do have to know those expectations. And like you said, they may look different from friendships, which is what I was stating earlier about like, how you pour into your friend may not be the way she pours back into you or he pours back into you. But if you know the expectations up front, then you're not disappointed at the results. Yep. Well, and also I always say like, if I have a client coming to me and going, hey, Dr. Robin, like, can you fix my car? I mean, I put some gas in it, but don't be mad with me because I can't fix your car because I'm not that friend. And that's what I'm saying. So it's like, yes, you got to know too, like, you know what? Again, this is my friend I travel with. Yep. I'm not going to give her this because that's not fair to her or him because that's not their role in my life. And the acceptance that you may not be everyone's that person for everybody, like in every situation. Exactly. So I've learned that people having those expectations on me, inviting them to certain things and, oh, why didn't I get to go to that? Or why didn't you tell me about this? Oh, I didn't know that was going on with you. I had no idea that's been going on for 6 months. And I'm like, I just didn't share that. And it was like that person was not that person for that circumstance, And so that's too is you're right about that. I met this woman. It's been like maybe 2 years now. And when I first met her, we hit it off. Our conversation was good. And then she goes, oh, I already know we're just going to be best friends. And I go, back it up. No, we're not. I'm not looking for a best friend. Like, that's not going to happen. But we remained friends for that duration of whatever it was that connected us. And it's not like we're not friends now, but I haven't talked to her in like, not at all this year. So, that's another thing too. It's like sometimes people, when they say, oh, we're going to be best friends, like, no, we're not. What is their definition of best friends? What is your definition? Because no. So that's what I was just that was about one of my questions is that codependency. And remember we talked about trauma bonds in relationships, but I mean, friendships too, there is that, it was funny because when you had said before, like,
we were trying to just define a healthy relationship, and it was, they're going to be there for me. They're going to be there for me. And I had a client I worked with, and she goes, oh my gosh, like, I don't know what to do, because now that I'm over here on this side and I have this friend and I love this friend, and you always hear the, but I go, but here's the thing, as you level up and as your circumstances and everything changes, you change, and you can still love that person, but you're not operating from that anymore. But you can't get mad with them because they're still there. But that is still, I think, a boundary of like, okay, but I do love her, but I also know who she is, and I'm not that anymore.
Right.
And then handle it with grace, and, because sometimes it's just like, oh my gosh. But then you get into that guilty, like, why am I? I'm not anything better. And I'm like, but even that, and like you said, acceptance, self-acceptance, knowing who you are, knowing your own boundaries.
Yep. And I'm guilty of being that, and where I'm the first person to say, that is not for me. I am not that friend that you want to take with you to there. Like I have some, I would say one of my closest friends. Her youngest is, I think, 11 or 12. And of course, my youngest is 18. I am so far past the little kid annoying stage. Like, I don't want to be around your damn kids. I don't want to be on kids on vacation.
She don't like your kids.
Damn kids. I don't want your damn kids around me. So my
the
friends,
truth, boss lady.
Seriously. So, and I love my kids, and I used to love little kids, but I had enough of them.
Well, you don't have the patience anymore.
Exactly.
That's what it is.
Exactly. And Robin's over here
She's over there dying.
I was like, this is so great.
So I have some friends with the little ones, right? And I had some crazy friends, who you are out there, who decided to have a baby in your 40s. Now, all right.
You are busted.
But
I do not want that wine.
Listen,
keep that wine from me.
I don't want to be around for the little 1-year-old birthday parties. I'm sorry. That's not me. So I have friends who, like I said, one of my closest friends, her little girl's 12. She just had like a birthday party. I wasn't invited. I was like, you don't have to invite me.
And you didn't feel bad at all, right?
Bad. And I know she loves me, but she's like, no, I know you don't like kids. I'm like, listen, I am not heartbroken. I will send her a Venmo. And that is a birthday gift. She can go shopping or whatever.
But that's a perfect example of what we
that's
were
what
just
I mean.
saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, she goes on cruises. Sometimes when they take all their kids, and I'm like, how many of you bring in your kids? Because that's not my cruise. I don't want to go. Because when I'm on a cruise, I stay away from the kids zone.
I love
reality.
It.
I say that, I raise my hand, like, that's not for me. Don't invite me. Same thing with people like, I still have friends who are like into like going out every weekend and bar hopping and doing all that. Cause they're like, I have a lot of friends who don't have any kids either. Their kids are adults, and they actually go drinking with their kids. And, cause they're all older now. That's not me. I don't want to do that. And so they got over, they're not inviting me anymore, which is fine. Cause I'm like, I'm not going to go. So you don't need to invite me to those
so
things.
they know your expectations.
They know my expectations,
when it comes
which is
to
like,
that.
and I don't get hurt.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, please go out bar hopping. I just do not need an invite. Cause I'm not going to go.
Right. Now on the flip side of that, my kids are grown, but I have grandkids. And so some of my friends have, like one of my good friends now, she's just now having her grandkids, and they're like toddlers. And my grandkids, the youngest is like 5, but hers are like babies. But we connect on that level, another level now, because that is another level of our friendship, because we now have conversation as it relates to the grandkids. But I do have friends who they don't have grandkids. And it's like, if I have my grandkids for the weekend and I want to take them to the park or whatever, I can't call them because they don't have grandkids. They're not going to want to go.
Exactly.
So I agree with that. It's like, when you know your expectations for the friends that you have and the things that they do and vice versa, you're good.
Yeah.
And it actually inadvertently takes a lot of pressure off of other people.
Trust me.
Because they're like, oh my God, do we... I'm good. I'm tired. I'm grown. I love you. Y'all have a great time.
That's it.
Yes.
And
that even reminds me of like another end. So like, I would say like my best friend. She is like my ride or die, my backdoor friend. I'm going to call her that. Her name's Rachel. If she's listening, she better be listening.
Hi, Rachel.
Hi, Rachel.
If you don't hear this, you're
Hi,
in
Rachel.
trouble.
I
like Rachel.
Oh, you not a backdoor friend. You got the side. You got the garage door, possibly.
But she's like she's a realtor. She's doing amazing in her job. I've seen her go through different careers. This has been great for her. And she has now, of course, her own new network of friends because of all the realtors and stuff. She's very involved in the community. She meets all these people. So she has these friends that she goes out with and she goes to events with. She's even going on an all-girls cruise with them. And it's like, we have a good enough connection to where I wouldn't want to go with all these people I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So go hang out with them, go do your thing. Same thing. I can call her up and say, hey, you know what? We haven't caught up in like 2 months. We haven't seen each other. We'll go have dinner. But like, that is her group for her networking,
Absolutely.
her thing. And she understands my thing too. So like that mutual respect is, I think, so hard to come by.
It is.
It really is.
And when you find it in a friend, those are the friends that you hold on to.
Mm-hmm. And you fight for.
Right. I was going to say, you hit it.
Sometimes fight
Even if
Yes.
sometimes, yeah. Even if sometimes because you got to process and go, okay, is this friendship worth it? Then you go through all the little points. Oh, yes, it is. And blah, blah, blah. So you have to fight hard. And I think because anything worth having is worth fighting for. Right. So you do have to, you got to get down and pull your sleeves up and go, okay, right. Like if we don't get this together, I'm going to fight you.
Yep. And that's the thing. Thinking about even like the ones who are just like, let's say young adults who are going through that transition of like, I know both my kids have gone through that. Like, okay, they're going off to college. They're at a different, some of them are not going off to college. Some of them are still at home or doing their own thing. Like, so I know, Anaya's going through that now too with like, some of the closest friends that she's had are not going along with her or like going their own journey.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, seeing her go through that and seeing these young adults say like, oh my gosh, this person is not calling anymore. We're going different ways. And it's like almost like a grief process. Wouldn't you say sometimes?
Yes, of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's funny because I use grief a lot and because I think like when we talk about grief again, it's one of those words where you just go, oof, like, because it's one of those words that you think grieving a death. But I'm like, there's death of situations.
Of course.
There's, death of friendship. There's losses and everything. And sometimes, but there's a lot of times where you have to, because again, if you don't grieve that part, you can't move over here. Like I tell my people, I'm like, it's like you got one arm here, but you're still trying to hold on to all that. And it was funny. I even asked my one client that we were talking about, the kind of outgrowing, and you could see her struggling. And I go, what is it in you that you're not okay, losing this friendship or, is it? And so sometimes it's like when we stay too long or when we're struggling, it's like, okay, is it them or is it me?
Mm-hmm.
Which goes back again to knowing you, what boundaries or, am I allowed or, it's just all these things. But no, absolutely. I would say you have to grieve that.
Yeah. And that's one thing it's the acceptance part of that too. But that, of course, is a part of the stage of grief. So, but I've noticed that too, of the young adults grieving that part of who they were. Like my son is doing a much better job of doing it, but Anaya, just her personality, she's having a harder time, I think, with that process. So.
Yeah. And, and she's still young too. So like at that age, like if you lose a friend, it's like, oh, the world's ending.
Yeah.
Even if that friend was not a good friend to you,
right.
Because sometimes it is one-sided where you like somebody so much and that, or they don't return that, or they're not as nice to you, but you still like that person. Right. But then the friendship ends and you still grieve that friendship,
Absolutely.
But I think, of course, the older we get,
the more
wisdom hopefully we attain.
And so it starts to become easier.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And what would you say, TJ, like would be like boundary issues that like you've seen that are either common with people or maybe something that you've experienced with boundary issues in friendships?
Well, I think sometimes you have those friends that they overstep or they overspeak. Right. Like I say, this is what I've told my adult daughters. The more you tell people, the more right you give them to speak into whatever your situation is. Because the first thing that we normally hear is, girl, if I were you, I wouldn't do that. Mm-hmm. Or girl, you need to just cut him loose. Or girl, you just need to get another job. Girl, if I were you. And my main thing is, but you're not me. Right. I don't want to know what you would do. Right. Because sometimes what your friend would do is not always the right thing to do. But I see a lot of, from friendship to friendship, like a lot of overstepping, or a lot of overspeaking or
unsolicited advice.
Right. Unsolicited advice.
One of my things I hate.
Right. Unsolicited advice. And then when you say, well, you know what? I understand that, but I'm going to choose to do this. And then they get all upset. Like that's been a personal experience of mine, but then I also have clients who have said the same, or they're like, well, I don't really want to say anything to my friend because I don't want to lose the friendship. And I said, well, if you're stuck on losing the friendship's not intact anyway, because I'm not stuck on losing a friendship. Mm-hmm. If I'm having an issue, and of course I've had to learn this, so it
takes time.
Right. Mm-hmm. If there's something that I really think that is hindering the friendship or stopping the friendship from continuing, I have to speak to it. Now, I'll process it first, but I have to speak to it, because if not, we can't move into the direction that we want to move in. There's going to be something that's going to stop it. And, I've had a friendship like that, and I'm like, I can't go back to my old ways, because my old ways was disconnect. And I'm like, I'm good. We don't have to continue this friendship. But I'm trying to, not allow that to stop the friendship, especially if the friendship is worth saving. You know what I mean? So I think that's like the biggest thing I see a lot of, girl, if I were you, girl, if I were you, girl, you should, and I think sometimes, and I'm learning to be this friend too. Sometimes just listen, and I'll ask, would you like me to give you some advice on that? Or do you just want me to just, listen, and a lot of times friends, they don't expect that. So they're like, oh yeah, I just want to vent.
Right.
And so they vent and with no judgment.
I like that.
So one thing you just said was about advice. And 2 times, the one client and then also Antonio, my son, because we do have a new grandbaby, 5 weeks. So, we're not quite with you yet, but I know now I saw the yuck.
Can't play in the park with my baby.
And Nella is not coming over at all.
Sorry.
So until you're grown. But it was funny because, Antonio sat me down and something because he was struggling in a situation like this. And he goes, well, because sometimes, when I give advice, and I just went, stop. I go, here's the thing. I go, I know you. I know what's going on. I said, but here's the thing with advice. I said, anytime you give advice, solicited or unsolicited, they can always put the blame back on you. And so some even time with that, like when you say, like, do you want my advice? Or, even with that, but I think that's different. And we obviously know, and we do a lot of this stuff, but I'm always like about a perspective, I'm always about okay, I know what I would do in this situation, but I also know you too. But have we looked at it like this, instead of like saying, well, and again, I love to build that empowerment in other people and say, well, okay, this is your life. What do you want? What do you really know what you want? Because if you don't know what you want, I can't really help you. But if you can get an idea, then we can start to work together. And it is more of like a collaboration. And so, and he was like, I didn't think about it like that. He goes, because a lot of times they ask for advice. I give it to them. They don't do it. I get mad.
That's what
And I said, and there you go.
Absolutely.
Because again, that goes back to that. Do you want to be rescued or want to be helped? They got to do their part. And so, but also there was one thing that I had up in my office all last week and this week. And it really helped me so much. And it was right online what you were saying. And it says, people lie, patterns don't. And so that's the thing. When you can see a pattern of behavior, because when we stepped out of our emotional conditioning and connectedness, because of course, when we have our friends and our people, that's where we start to attach feelings and hurt and this and that. But if you can come back and say, okay, but the pattern of behavior, this is what it is. So, I mean, you can say that, but this is what's showing again. And I understand that. And even with that, I think sometimes helps when you're having that conversation about, this friendship, this is tough to say. However, this is the pattern that I continue to see. And it doesn't work for me, and I'm struggling, and if it's like even one of these things, like we were talking about making plans with people, and it's like they cancel. But by God, if you don't pick up the phone one time, I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. What? Mm-hmm. Yeah. 5 times you weren't here, but you're okay. But, and then you have to look at, but their pattern of behavior, that doesn't lie.
And that shows a lack of mutual respect.
Exactly. And that again, clearly where we thought we were in that relationship is not where they have put us, in those expectations.
Exactly.
And so I definitely think that has helped me, trying to understand some things, it's just like, okay, well, but the pattern is there. So I'm not going to take this on. but then I can also make a decision based on the pattern.
Yep. And that the pattern predicts future behavior. So we need to, that even goes along with friendships for sure. So I think that's one key thing too, for sure, to think about when you're choosing friendships, when you're trying to keep friendships, is looking at the pattern of behavior and also the pattern that you see with them, with their other friends.
Absolutely.
So, if you see them be certain, a certain way with the friendships, or kind of like, toss them aside sometimes, or maybe not listen, or maybe they're talking trash about their other friends.
I was going to say that.
They're going to do the same about you. And I've learned that as well. Like, okay, I know this group of friends. I know that's why you limit what you say in front of certain people. Because if not, it's just going to go to other places that you don't want it to. Yeah. So, well, that is all for today's episode. And hey, if you guys have not subscribed yet, please subscribe, because we're getting up there in views. We're getting up there in downloads. So keep doing it. And hey, if you have any suggestions of topics that you want us to talk about, please reach out to us. YouTube. There's also an email link in there that you can do. So reach out to us.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be great, because this is for y'all. So
exactly.
Yeah.
We'll talk about some topics. We'll even name you if you want to, and all that.
Whatever you want to do. Ask a clinician.
We're ready for it.
Yeah.
TJ, what would you do?
All right, everyone, have a good day. Thank you.
Bye-bye.